Beautiful evening to you. You're welcome to Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel. Very happy to be back on the screen once again to bring you up to speed with the latest revolving round the beautiful world of sports. This evening today, we shall examine the performance of Super Eagles of Nigeria in the AFCON qualifiers encounter against Benin Republic yesterday. Not forgetting, of course, the basketball final. It's talked about the Nigerian Premier Basketball League final is down here in Port Harcourt. We're also going to take a look at some results as well from the World Cup qualifiers. Of course, you know it is the international break, and we're not going to talk much about club football, so we'll focus more on the national team games on today's edition of the show. It promises to be an exciting one, and we'll urge you to sit tight as we have a lot for you this evening. We'll take a break, and when we'll come back from the break, we'll be able, of course, to take you through all that you need to know revolving around the beautiful world of sports this evening. Stay with us, right back. Welcome back, ST Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, I have with me Dr. Elechi. Doctor is here, of course, with us on the show this evening. Dr. Elechi Wiki, good evening to you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening, Emmanuel Kingsley.
And of course, Emmanuel Michael is also here with us. Good evening to you, Michael. Welcome to the show.
A beautiful evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers out there.
All right, so let's quickly take a look at the situation of things as it concerns basketball down here in Nigeria. But before we take a look at basketball, because we're going to have a man down there from Niger Streets. That's where, of course, the basketball court is. He'll be giving us feelers from there. Let's just move away. Definitely we'll come back to basketball on the show this evening. Really getting interesting already when it has to do with the final eight down here, you know, in Port Harcourt, talking about the Nigerian Premier Basketball League. We'll take a look at that, you know, very soon on the show. But let's talk tennis, as is, of course, gradually getting very much, you know, interesting in the ATP final. What number one, Yannick Sinner continues his perfect start at the ATP finals with a dominant win over Russian Daniil Medvedev, playing on home soil in Turin. Sinner won 6-3, 6-4. To top the elite Natasil group with 3 wins from 3 games so far. Mike, really been an impressive, you know, performance so far from Yannick Sinner in the ATP finals.
Yeah, an impressive performance for Yannick Sinner in the ATP final. I think he has actually shown the reason why he's world #1 as it is right now, despite the whole controversy surrounded around him regarding the doping issue. I think for Yannick Sinner, he's been able to surmount those challenges, winning 3 out of 3 in the ATP final. I think for me, it's a statement of intent, and this clearly shows that you know, he's not slowing down in his pace, you know, of maintaining his #1 ranking, and also buoyed by the fact that Novak Djokovic is not in this one. Then again, one that would have been able to give him a run for his money is not in the best form of his life. Talking about Carlos Alcaraz and the likes of Daniil Medvedev, very inconsistent. Taylor Fritz, very inconsistent. So for me, it's looking likely that Yannick Sinner might possibly, you know, coast home this very one this time around. And again, for the fact that he's playing, you know, in his home ground as well, that may be another factor that also have been able to also keep him going, because you know the home fans, what they bring into the game as well, and knowing fully well that you are playing in your country, the support is massive, the fans cheering and all of that is an extra motivation. But then away from that extra motivation that he has been able to, draw from the home fans out there. I think the man has been in the form of his life, and I tell you, it is as good as saying that Yannick Sinner is going to win this very one, all things being equal.
ATP Tour titles in 2024, of course. Let's see how this one, of course, will go. And the man has recorded so far 68 wins from 72 matches so far. This is an impressive one for the man Yannick Sinner, and it's looking like he's going to, of course, get this one at the end of the day. Earlier, Telefries defeated Alex de Minaur 5-7, 6-4, 6-3 to also progress as well. Sinner and Fries will discover their semi-final opponents today. And as it stands, of course, Carlos Alcaraz was defeated today by Alexander Zverev. And of course, Zverev has progressed, and Casper Ruud and Andy Murray, of course, will also be in action today. And we'll see how that one, of course, will go down. But still talking tennis, of course, this evening, American tennis player Francis Tiafoe has been fined $120,000 for a furious outburst in which he repeatedly swore at the chair umpire during last month's Shanghai Masters. Tiafoe reacted angrily towards Jimmy Pinot Gote after losing 5-7, 7-5, 7-6 to Russia's Roman Soflin. The world number 18 was fined $60,000 for aggravated behavior on top of the maximum $60,000 fine for verbal abuse. He also faced a suspension from playing at the ATP, but the ATP opted not to ban the player. Now, Tiafoe, 36 years later, apologized for his action, saying his behavior was not acceptable, and his outburst came at the end of a match that turned on the American being given a time violation at 5-5 in the final set tie break. The two-time U.S. Open semi-finalist claimed he tossed the ball up to serve, but Pinot Gote disagreed it was a legitimate throw intended to start the points and penalize him. Forced to start with a second serve, Tiafoe lost the point to trail 6-5 and Soflin claimed victory at the first attempt. As Tiafoe walked towards the umpire's chair, he launched a flurry of expletives at Pinot Gote in a prolonged outburst as well. All right, away from that, let's talk about one man who is looking forward, of course, to make a return to tennis, as Nikira says he feels fit and healthy after announcing he will return to competitive tennis at the Brisbane International at the end of December. The 29-year-old Australian has played just one ATP Tour singles match in 2 years because of knee, foot and wrist injuries. And of course, the Brisbane event starts the 2025 season, and it's a warm-up for the Australian Open, which begins on the 12th of January. And the Curious, of course, is looking forward to return, Michael, and it's going to start, of course, with the tournament, talking about the Brisbane tournament in December. And of course, we're looking forward to see him in the Australian Open come next year. What do you make of the return of Nikirios?
I think it's a happy moment for tennis fans across the globe because some of his supporters has actually missed him for a very long time now, right now. And I think injury as well has actually blighted his performance or his continuous stay on the tennis world out there. He's been hampered by injury several times. I think the injury is no thanks has taken a toll against him over the past couple of years right now, which for me I think is a very disappointing one. But the man has refused to give up. He continued to work very hard behind the scene, and now he's back and ready to go. So I think we need to give him all the support out there. And for me, I think it's a great one to see Nikirios back to do what he loves doing best, which for me I think is going to bring more competitiveness within the tennis world, which is what we want to see. So I think it's a big congratulations for him. We hope that this injury will not blight or stop his progression again this time around. I think like I said earlier, welcome him back, and we're very happy to have him back on the courts.
All right, let's stay away from tennis as we move straight, of course, to Niger Street down here in Port Harcourt, where the Nigerian Premier Basketball League Final 8, of course, is currently ongoing. And we have our boss right there, Mr. Siri Dombuche. He's on ground, of course, to give us live feelers down there from the Niger courts. Good evening to you, Mr. Siri.
Okay, stay nice to be with you. It's very nice to be at the Niger basketball court in Port Harcourt. It's really behind. You can hear the background noise coming through in the match between the Boko Chiefs and Kano Pillars. It is very dicey as we speak. We are in the fourth quarter. It is a 4-point difference. It's now 7 points different now, 70 to 63 in favor of the Boko Chiefs. So Kano Pillars are trying to see how they can get on the game. That's the real on the basket. It is tough. Yeah, we understand in the earlier game, Nile has qualified already, and the Breeze and Hoop 2 are qualified for the semi-final stage.
We hope to have, of course, Mr. Siri back with us on the show. He's live down there at Niger Street to give us, live feelers from there. Of course, it's really an intense one. Bogo Chief against Kano Pillars, putting up that impressive performance we've seen down there as well.
Sorry, it's the fourth quarter and the first. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, we have got under 3 minutes. The end of this match between it is 70 to 66. That's very good. I think it can happen. While we see, the coach is trying to see a couple of I told you earlier that Rook and Heath and now University are qualified already for the semi-final. But the biggest attention now is on the match coming up in the next few minutes between both of us. The media director a couple of weeks ago, and to explain what the opinion that it will be a whitewash against Kwara Falcons because they are not in the same class we want to say.
All right, let's have what do you make of it? River Supers against Kwara Falcons. A lot of worries about Kwara Falcons as well. This seems not to be the Kwara Falcons we used to know. A lot of players are worried. What could be the reason?
I didn't get to correct it, but it's even getting closer between the Caterpillars and the Boko Chief. It's now 78 to 68 points, 70 to 68 points. So just 2-point gap, and we have under 2 minutes to wrap up this match. It's looking very dicey for Boko Chief, but they are on the attack, and we hope and see what will happen. The infringement has been called. Because of the level of noise inside of the basketball court here, I really can't get so well. Like I mentioned, it is about 1 minute 30 seconds to the end of this encounter, and it looks like Boko Chiefs will say from Boko, will grab this off one of the days Kano and Pillars.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Siri? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Like, the attention seems to be really on the River Supers match, and people are going to arrive to the court as well of this competition. Because the ticket, the ultimate is to win the title here and become champions for this season 2024-2025. And at the same time, I have the ticket going to the basketball league in Africa, which is where everybody is fighting. Remember, the Hoopers came back from a tournament where they won all 7 Super Defense basketball tournament, and they are able to do the same. They have wonderful motivation from the River State government here, and the Commissioner of Sports as well, Mr. Christopher Green, is doing everything possible to ensuring that River Supers return back to the continent, the basketball league where they were neighboring team from Nigeria, and knocked off temporarily today in this one. We have the media director to the Honorable Commissioner of Sports, Sammy, is here with me as well. Sammy, we are live on United Heads, and of course, Kingston, you can hear it directly from the director's mouth. Sammy, of course, the Commissioner Director of the Ministry of Sports. telling us how the atmosphere is going. As we speak, more and more fans are coming in here and expectedly to support Rivers Slippers on their home side.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me, Mr. Siri. Can you hear me now?
What do you say? It's noisy. I can't really hear you well.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think we have to hold it there. Maybe we can as well get to you as the show progresses. If we can possibly, and if you can hear us, from here, we'll definitely get back to you. All right. That's of course Mrs. Sherry giving us feelers, of course, from Niger Streets down here, where the Nigerian Premier Basketball League Final 8 is currently ongoing. So it's getting really interesting. Bogo City Chief putting up a very impressive performance against Kano Pillars. And tonight, Doc, we're going to be seeing River Supers against Kwara Falcons. Doc, is something interesting that we're seeing basketball games played in the night down here in Port Harcourt.
Yeah, one thing you have to understand is that the game of basketball has really come of age in Rivers State and Port Harcourt. Before now, Port Harcourt has hosted even all African basketball games at Civic Center. So they've been playing even at night. And the basketball court at Niger Street, I think the state government has really invested a lot on it, and they have really made basketball to look better. Back in those days when we were in secondary school, we were also always encouraged to go into basketball, but height wasn't there. So I think the majority of the motivation is coming from the government, and as well, the state also has a very good team in the infrastructure. You also have to look at the kind of money they have spent club after having a very nice tournament with at the African Cup. Yes. So you check during the African Cup, they had players they recruited from basketball teams across the world. So if you check, this motivation is one thing that is really helping out the Rivers Hoopers. And playing basketball at night is something that each and everyone will always delight to watch, just like football. Like today, after work, you just go to the stadium, relax, and watch the game. If you are back, if you were back in the days when I was living at IB Johnson Street, it would have just been a stole through. I would just go there and watch the game, and it would have been a delight. I think we must give kudos to the River State government for the good work they are doing, and I think they need to invest more and do more so that we can get even 2 to 3 basketball teams. And
inside the Nigerian Premier Basketball League down here in Port Harcourt, this is the Final 8, and I tell you, it's really getting interesting, for some teams. Talk about Nine University putting up a very impressive performance already, getting down to the next stage of the competition. And as well, Bogo City Chief not left out, putting up a very impressive performance against Kano Pillars. And you can't take away River Supers that will also be in action tonight against Kwara Falcons. Promises to be an exciting one. Keep our fingers crossed and see how this result, of course, unfolds. But at this point, we'll take a break and we'll come back from the break and move straight to the Nigerian Premier Football League, and as well the performance of the Super Eagles of Nigeria against Benin Republic in the AFCON qualifier. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and we'll still bring you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. And of course, it's time for we to talk the Nigerian Premier Football League. We'll see some matches this weekend as Akwa United will lock horns against Nasarawa United, Economic Warriors against Niger Tornadoes, and Bayelsa United against Katsina United. We also see Ikorodu City against Shooting Stars, and the Enugu Rangers will be national against Penda Insurance. Social Stars against Lobi Stars. Abia Warriors will lock ons against Eyimba Football Club. Remo Stars will be national against Rivers United, and Kora United against Plateau United. Kano Pillars against Heartland
FM. Remo Stars, because Remo Stars they're a very formidable side, and when they come up against these big teams in quotes in the Nigerian Premier Football League, they tend to play the best of football out there. Two, they have an advantage of playing at home, which for me I think this point, which for me I think it is not good for a team that is contending for the title. Finidi George at this time around need to find his winning mojo this time around so that he can be able to challenge for the league. If you can remember, some time ago in March day 9, when there was this hula baloo that Rivers United have remained unbeaten and all of that, I said that it is not yet an uhuru, that there are more games to come. And maybe when we get to match day 15 and all of that, we are going to see a dynamics in the table. And of course, it is what is happening right now. Match day 11, Rivers United can't hold their own. So I think they need to, find a winning formula this time around. But it's going to be a very difficult one because there will be
win, and it will depend on the technical and tactical input of both coaches. And when two local rivals play like this, I remember back in those days when we used to have Ego Cement and Sharks of Port Harcourt. Even when Ego Cement is at the top of the league, they play against Sharks. They always find it very difficult to beat their rival team. I think that is one thing that the Eyimba boys have to take into consideration. Because if they see it that it is a win for them, because maybe because of their pedigree, it may not actually go that way. So I think they need to work harder, a bit harder, and the coach need to look into so many other factors that may come into play.
All right, let's see how that one go. And of course, another interesting encounter for me this weekend is the game between Kano Pillars and Heartland. And I really want to see what Heartland want to do this weekend, because in their last 3 games, they look, a little bit, formidable, under Emmanuel Amunike.
Yes, yes. One thing I told people when the league started, and Emmanuel Amunike played, I think, 3 games without a win. I was trying to let people understand that this man has a lot in stock to offer, and we can't just take because of 3 games and write him off. Now, his technical ability has started showing, and I think this is one game that Emmanuel Amunike will really use to stamp his name on the league. And if you take it the other way, Kano Pillars have been doing very well lately, and anything short of them winning this match will also tell you how much of the technical ability of the person of Emmanuel
yesterday, and they've sealed their qualification to the AFCON 2025 in Morocco. First, Michael, what do you make of that performance, from the Super Eagles against Benin Republic yesterday?
It was a very lackluster performance from the Super Eagles. I had actually expected so much from them, but I think I'm not convinced, I'm not satisfied with their display yesterday. I don't know whether because they had an earlier result which actually favored the Super Eagles, because Rwanda lost their game, thereby even qualifying the Super Eagles automatically without kicking a ball. So maybe the news broke to the Eagles camp, and they thought maybe that one was more like a jamboree. So they just went out there in the pitch to enjoy themselves, which for me shouldn't be. Should have been able to deal with Benenoas clinically, beat them silly. More like a revenge, what they did to us in the World Cup qualifying game where we lost 2-1 against the same side. But the boys were very lackadaisical yesterday in that game, thereby allowing the Benin. It didn't actually pay off, because I was very surprised seeing Kelechi Iheanacho starting that game. Kelechi Iheanacho has no business on being on the first lineup in that game of yesterday. But then he started. Throughout the first 45 minutes, Kelechi Iheanacho had no single shot on target, not even a single shot off target. So for me, I think the coach actually wanted to gamble the game. But then we thank God that Victor Osimhen was able to come in when it truly matters most to deliver, thereby, equaling the record of the mathematical Segun Odegbami on 23 goals for the Super Eagles. I think with 14 goals right now, he can catch up with the record of Rashidi Yakini, who is the highest Super Eagles goal scorer with 37 goals right now. But generally, I think it was a poor display.
And there were certain players in the national team that were really feeling too big. It started with home-based players. The likes of Dan, the Bull, and Mokachi, we are playing at home. He started using them. At the end of the day, we had an era of Super Eagles players that today we will still see them as the best set of players that have played in the Super Eagles. They were all home-based players. In the first match, Finidi George played for. He played that match. He made assists, scored, commitment. So for me, I think the Super Eagles need to go back to the drawing board. As we normally, each time we go for competition and we don't win, we go back to the drawing board. I think we need to go back and think. Look out for the best coach that could handle the Super Eagles. He's doing his best. I quite agree with everybody. He's doing his best. But at this point, how long will we continue to be playing Benin Republic and we will be playing with our hearts?
But Doc, we beat the Super Eagles beat Benin Republic in
at home.
Yeah,
at home. So we cannot beat them away. No. In the times of Kano Nwankwo, Daniel Ibula, Mokachi, these countries, even as good as Ghana, there were no problem for us. Nigeria qualified for 1994 World Cup, 1998 World Cup, 2002 World Cup, and the 2006 World Cup. I don't know if you understand me. Straight. But now it is difficult. It's either we failed to qualify. In 2010 World Cup, we could not qualify. It was Nigeria and Angola that edged us out, which could not happen during the era of the JJs, because they were bringing in players who has commitment. So I think the coach, if Eguavon should continue as the coach of the Super Eagles, he needs to be sent for more refresher courses. All this while he has been a technical director, he has not been handling a team. So how do we get the best out of it?
Refresher courses.
Refresher courses as a coach or as a technical director. These are the things we need to look at. Now, they brought in Finidi George to tell you that even the problem we're having is not just about the coach, it's even the NFF. They brought in Finidi George, who could not do anything. We're thinking of bringing a coach that can manage situation when we have issues. It's about what the NFF has to offer Nigerians. There's no footballing nation that will be happy that a coach will come and qualify. We don't need to qualify. When last did Nigeria win a tournament? 2013.